Hello, welcome to another edition of Jana Brock's Bunny Talks. I'm Jana, and today we're going to continue with the bonding series. Before we get into today's topic, if you haven't done so already, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. That lets me know you want to see more videos in the future that have reliable information about best care practices and your pet rabbit. I want to just start with a few comments before I give you my top 4 things to avoid when bonding your rabbit. Anyone who has been in the world of domesticated rabbits for any length of time knows that there is a lot of inaccurate information that gets distributed about these animals. At Love Your Rabbit, we work hard to do proper research, and we also work with domesticated rabbits or pet rabbits day in and day out. One of my goals is to present accurate information at all times based on solid research, even if it disagrees or challenges the information that has been widely distributed in past years. In other words, like many rabbit experts, I work hard to correct historic misunderstandings. This is for the benefit of you as a rabbit owner or caretaker, but it is also a benefit to your pet rabbit. Bad information can easily lead to unnecessary suffering and injuries. So, as always, we bring you credible information that you can count on. Also, bonding is one of those topics that can be very complex, or it can be simple depending on whether you are working on an easy bond or a difficult one. Expert bonders will know the difference. Difficult bonds can sometimes take months or even a year. Some bonds don't work out in the end. Other rabbits can have a love at first sight situation. If you haven't watched the other bonding videos on this channel yet, I'll post the links in the description box below. These videos are short and well worth your time. Also, I have documented best care practices for pet rabbit owners in my book, Bunny Conversations, The Entertaining Dialogue of Pet Rabbits by Jana Brock. The link for that paperback book will also be in the description box below. It's available on Amazon and other book outlets all over the world. Since the bonding process can be simple or it can be quite complex, there are many things to avoid when bonding your pet rabbit. I can't list them all for you today, but I do have 4 things to share with you in this video. Let's get right into the 4 things that you should avoid in any rabbit bonding process. Number 1, avoid using unlined bathtubs and other slick surfaces, including slick floors. Your rabbit's paws have nothing between that fragile skin and a slick surface except for fur. Fur does not grip, so the rabbit starts sliding around when he is on a slick surface. Because your rabbit has a very, very fragile spine, that spine can easily be fractured when the rabbit is on a surface that is unstable, like a slick floor. Also, slick surfaces like bathtubs or slick floors can cause injuries to a rabbit's hip joints or legs. All that sliding around causes unnecessary fear and stress. Rabbits do not have the pads on their paws like other animals do, so it should be obvious that slick surfaces are not safe for them. If you use a slick floor or bathtub in your bonding process, cover it with carpeting remnants or thick towels or blankets so that your rabbit won't slip and slide around. He needs something to grip. Not only will this save your rabbit from unnecessary fear and stress, but it could save you a huge veterinary bill or even save the life of your animal. Number 2, avoid tabletops and other high places. This is not just true of bonding. Rabbits do not like to be high up, nor is it safe for them because they have a habit of launching away when they are stressed or in fear. This is why safe handling when you pick up a rabbit is so important. But being on a tabletop, that should be a no-brainer and it should not be done. If they are placed on a tabletop or in another place that is off the ground for bonding purposes, they could fall. Launching off that table or even falling could cause broken bones, a broken spine, other serious injuries, including death. Rabbits are ground animals and feel safest when all 4 paws are on the floor. Give him the best chance possible and give you the best chance possible in this bonding process. It should be obvious that you don't put a rabbit off the floor or on the top of a table to do a bonding process, but there is still a lot of bad information circulating out there on the internet telling people to use tabletops in the bonding process, even though it is unsafe. Number 3 on my list of things to avoid is allowing biting. Of course, you as the human don't want to get scratched or bitten by one of the rabbits you are bonding. Surprisingly, rabbits can bite very hard and humans can get hurt. But in this context, I'm talking about rabbits biting one another. If you see someone telling you not to separate your rabbits unless they draw blood from one another, ignore that advice. Allowing rabbits to bite one another or draw blood from one another could cause a very dangerous situation for one or both animals. And I've seen over and over and over in articles or even some YouTube videos where people are teaching other people not to separate the rabbits unless they draw blood, and that's just really bad advice. Expert bonders know body language well enough to know when to separate rabbits, and it's nowhere near the blood drawing stage. As a side note here, if one of the rabbits is bleeding, he has been injured. Expert bonders know when to separate the rabbits, and they do everything they can to avoid injury. Rabbit bites and tears in the skin can be very serious and can cause all kinds of other problems. Open wounds like bites can invite flies to lay eggs inside the wounds, inside the bite. This even happens with indoor rabbits. Flies get indoors too. They don't just live outside. When a fly finds a wound in a rabbit, they can lay eggs in that wound and cause a condition we commonly call fly strike. Often when that occurs, the rabbit has to be put down because fly strike is extremely invasive and hard to correct once it's bad enough that the owner has discovered it. Also, a rabbit's skin is so fragile that tears and bites in the skin get infected very quickly. They are hard for veterinarians to repair, and this can be a very serious problem. If one of your rabbits does get bitten, which means blood has been drawn, then you could be faced with a veterinary bill of $250 or more, depending on where you live and what the vet care costs in your area are. Or worse, you might think that bite is just small and it'll heal on its own, so you don't take the rabbit into the vet. Over the next week or two, you realize your rabbit is not eating, not pooping. In fact, he's not acting normally at all. Maybe his ears are getting hot, which is a sign of fever. So you rush him to the vet's office, who examines him and finds that he's been bitten, something you thought was just fine because you were doing a bonding process and they said don't separate your rabbits unless blood is drawn, and you didn't see any blood. So you see the problem here. The veterinarian tells you that the bite has become infected. Now you may be facing an emergency surgery to repair the damaged skin and the infected area. Rabbit owners can expect to pay maybe $350 or more to correct one bite if it gets this far, plus medications that are not good for your pet rabbit. Healing time is a problem, follow-up veterinary visits, and you have to start the bonding process all over again after the healing is complete. Your rabbit has suffered and you are out a lot of money simply because someone said don't separate your rabbits until they draw blood or unless they draw blood from one another, which is, again, very bad and dangerous advice. The lesson here is, once again, be careful where you get your information. Bonding is one of those things that can go well or it can go very, very wrong quite quickly. Don't let rabbits fight, and certainly don't let them fight to the point where they would draw blood from each other. If you do not know rabbit behavior as it relates to the bonding process, then don't start a bonding process until you have done much more research or until you have gotten help from an expert bonder. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this series, because bonding rabbits has so much bad information published about it, and it's really a very serious process. There's good information online too, certainly, but sadly in this world, there's so much bad information and it's either not helpful or it's just plain dangerous. When it comes to bonding, qualified bonders know the difference between light nipping and biting and when it is time to separate rabbits and try again later. Because we've worked with so many rabbits, bonders also know when a tiff is about to turn into a fight, and they know this by reading the body language of rabbits that they are working with. So bonders understand the behaviors that occur before rabbits ever get into what's called the dreaded tornado. There's a lot more to bonding than that, but you get my point. Number 4 on my list of things to avoid when bonding 2 or more rabbits together. Avoid bonding them in one of the primary living spaces. In other words, if your pet rabbit considers the living room his space, go elsewhere to begin the bonding process. Remember, rabbits are immensely territorial, even after they have been spayed or neutered. Rabbits have been observed fighting to the death over territories, mating, and even food. Keep your rabbits safe and stay with the very important bonding rule of using a neutral location. That is a location that is not a primary living space of either rabbit. Be careful out there, do great research, and learn from credible sources, and you will have a successful bonding experience. Thank you so much for joining me on this important episode of Janet Brock's Bunny Talks. Check back here to see more awesome videos on best care practices for your pet rabbit. As always, be kind to animals and thank you for caring.